Hello, everyone online. We are here and we're getting ready to start service. And so something came up, and so we're running a little bit late, but we will start. Thanks for your patience. Namandam, 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 nam. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Dharma School and Dharma Family service. We'd like to begin service with chanting, and today we're going to chant Gassho to Amida, which is in the blue folder under G. And remember, sometimes we do Shoshinge with this melody, we can do Junirai with this melody, so this is a nice Junirai melody, we call it, that we get to chant to. Namandam, 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 namandam. Namu Amida Butsu. I recite Amida's name with deep joy and gratitude. I gassho to Amida. Trees and grasses and flowers all grow in his compassion. His light shines throughout the world. I gassho to Amida. Flowers bloom and flowers fall. From the seed sprout new flowers. This is the truth unchanging. I gassho to Amida. Springtime brings the happy birds. Their songs all praise Amida. I join them in Nembutsu. I gassho to Amida. When I call Amida's name, it's Amida calling me. His voice and my voice are one. I gassho to Amida. When I'm lonely, I recite Namo Amida Butsu. Then I feel him take my hand. I gassho to Amida. Nembutsu in work and play, every day with Amida, every moment filled with light. I gassho to Amida. Remember the golden chain, kindness to all living things. I will follow this teaching. I gassho to Amida. In the clear, bright morning sun, in the fading light of day, in the darkness of the night, I gassho to Amida. Namu Amida Butsu. I live in his compassion. His great power guides my life. I Gassho to Amida. Namandabu, 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 Namandabu. Ganni shikudoku byodo seisai dohoten bodai shin ojo an dakok. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, Namanda, Namanda. Okay, next, let's recite the Golden Chain 2 on page 15 in the big purple book. Unless you have it memorized, of course. I kind of do, but I'm going to use the book anyway. Okay, ready? Golden Chain 2. I am a link in the Buddha's golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I must keep my link bright and strong. I will try to be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself. I will try to think pure and beautiful thoughts, to say pure and beautiful words, and to do pure and beautiful deeds, knowing that on what I do now depends not only my happiness or unhappiness, but also that of others. May every link in the Buddha's golden chain of love become bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo. Okay, I'm excited. I'm going to give the Dharma talk. I'm excited. You know why? I got a new calendar. Isn't that cool? Yeah, so I have a question for you. Who likes snakes? Who doesn't like snakes? Who hates snakes? Okay, I thought of one person that hates snakes, Indiana Jones. Right? Especially the first movie. It's a movie. Harrison Ford. The first one is called Raiders of the Lost Ark, and there's a scene. I think he explicitly says, "I hate snakes." Right? So there's definitely people that hate snakes. There's some people that don't like snakes. There's people that really like snakes. Yeah, right? But I think some people might be afraid of snakes too, right? And maybe that's why they hate them. I'm not sure. Anyway, so this is a calendar. Now this is a solar calendar starting in January, and it's based on the sun. You've heard me talk about this a little bit, and I'm going to open it. It's pretty cool. It's plastic free, so there's no like cellophane wrap around it. So they're trying to preserve and help the environment. So we're almost at the end of January. Look at that one. That's a pretty cool snake. Isn't that neat? And so we're getting into February soon. So this is the regular calendar that you're used to, right? But there's also a lunar calendar about the moon, right? And that's why I got this one partly, not just because of the snakes, but this one shows the phases of the moon. So you can tell when it's a full moon, when it's a new moon. Let's see, January 29 coming up, new moon. So this Wednesday is new moon, and it's the Lunar New Year. We did a solar New Year January 1st, but this year, Lunar New Year is January 29th. This Wednesday. If you're here in Chinatown, get ready. Don't be afraid by all of the fireworks and firecrackers, right? Because for like a whole week, they're setting off firecrackers and doing Chinese Lunar New Year stuff. Okay? Yeah, there's Blue Moon. What are some of the other ones? Harvest Moon, Super Moon, Mega Moon, Blood Moon, Moon Unit Zappa, right? And so anyway, so the phases are important. We don't do it anymore, but a lot of ancient, or even not ancient, now, a lot of people now do lunar calendar too. You have to be aware of the solar calendar, but they also do lunar calendar. One, China, right? Chinese New Year. Japan used to do it. They switched in around 1900, late 1800s. They switched to solar, but it used to be lunar. And so anyone that does Chinese astrology has to know lunar calendar, because that's what is it? Year of the Snake, right? Starting in Japan, they consider January 1st, but in China, it starts this Wednesday on the New Year. So I think the good question. So is it still 2024 for people that celebrate Lunar New Year? And I think no would be my guess, but I'm not sure. That's a good question. I think a lot of people that do lunar calendar do both lunar and solar. So they know the solar calendar, and it's actually year 2700 AN for Theravada Buddhists after Nirvana. So they count Lunar New Year since Shakyamuni Buddha passed away. So there's all different ways we can count. Oh, it's Reiwa something in Japan too, huh? The emperor's birthday, right? So there's all these different ways we can keep track of time. We're used to the solar calendar. I like being aware of the lunar calendar and these kind of different calendars that we can think about. So, Year of the Snake. I heard some people like snakes. I heard some people don't like snakes. I got a little mini snake here. You can look at it later. Yeah, it's really cute. This was made by Reverend Nakoda. And he passed away last year, the past couple of years, so I was able to get one. He made a whole bunch of them. It's kind of hard to see. Some of you saw this earlier. I'll hold it there. Yeah, it's a 7-headed snake from India protecting Shakyamuni Buddha. So you can see Buddha here, right? And then there's this 7-headed cobra thing here. And then if you look at the back, you can see these are the coils, and you can see his tail, right? So in Indian mythology, they're called Nagas, and it's kind of a snake god, right? And so the Naga is a good thing in Indian mythology. In Christian or Judeo-Christian mythology, right, the snake and the Garden of Eden and all that, I'm not going to get into that stuff, right? But different cultures feel differently about different things. And that's okay, right? At least it is still now. It is, in my opinion, right, that we can have these different cultures, right? And they're also, the Naga is related to dragons in China. So the Ryu is a Japanese pronunciation for Chinese dragon. And if you remember, last year was Year of the Dragon, wasn't it? Right? It's still Year of the Dragon until this Wednesday. If you're doing lunar calendar, Chinese dragons are cool. They protect us, right? European dragons are kind of scary, like Smaug from The Hobbit, right? So it's a lot of times Western European dragons are scary, but Chinese dragons are cool. Or if you saw, not Spirited Away. Yeah, it is Spirited Away. There's a dragon in that one too, right? The white dragon. Haku, right? So we can see these different ways to think about things. There's not only one way to think about stuff, right? That we can think about things in different ways, right? And we can have different cultures. So, you know what I forgot to say? Happy New Year, right? This Wednesday, Happy New Year. Didn't we just say that like 3 weeks ago, right? But that was Solar New Year. So we get a whole nother New Year. That's one of the things I like about Chinese New Year, Lunar New Year, is that if you didn't get your resolutions done for Solar New Year, you get another chance, right? Or maybe you didn't even think about it, but we can think about it. So to me, New Year, one way to think about New Year is there something I want to change about myself, right? Is one way to think about it. Is there something I want to improve? When I was a kid, I was not good in school. I found it really hard to study, really hard to do my homework, really hard to schedule my time, and it was really hard to change things. When I went to college, that's when I said, you know what, I'm gonna try really hard to be able to do my homework ahead of time, study for tests ahead of time. Still not that great. Don't talk to our Bushin editor, okay? my Bushin article is a couple days overdue at this point, but I'm trying, right? And this is another opportunity to say, yes, one more time, I'm gonna try to stick to deadlines, right? I'm gonna try to study better. The thing with, is there something to change? Maybe it implies there's something wrong with me, right? And that's not necessarily true, but maybe another way we can think, is there another direction I want to go? Or what direction do I want to go in? Right? And that's what Buddhism gives us. Right? Buddhism teaches us to try to be aware. Buddhism teaches us to try to be kind. Right? And so these are our Buddhist values. And maybe as we go into this new year, this new lunar year, we can think about that. How do I treat other people? Am I kind? Am I mean? Right? Do I ignore people? Do I value people? Right? And so Buddha teaches me to try to be kind. When I see stuff going on around, and I might just make snap judgments, or I might look at something on TikTok or whatever and be like, oh yeah, that's right. But no, be aware, think about it, be critical. Don't just accept what you get off the internet. Don't just accept all these messages. We want to think about things. We want to talk about things with our parents, maybe with our teachers, right? And so I feel like that's what Buddhism teaches me. To try to be aware, try to be kind. And it especially teaches me that it's okay to be myself. Right? This is the United States of America. My understanding is we have freedom of religion here. We don't just have one religion. There's no single state religion. That I can be Buddhist, someone else can be Christian, someone else can be Jewish, someone else can be Muslim, someone can be atheist, no religion. It's okay. We can still live together, right? What's the problem? I really don't understand the problem, right? And that to me is one of the core aspects of United States of America. America has some kind of questionable bad stuff in its history, but there's some good stuff too. And freedom of religion is one of those, individual liberty, right? And also I think equality, right? How come some people get to have all the stuff and everyone else has to fight over scraps, right? America's not supposed to be about that. America is supposed to be about liberty and equality, and freedom of religion is a big part of that. Okay, getting off the soapbox. Here's the snakes again, right? The thing with astrology too, I'm going to talk about astrology more to the adults, but it's kind of interesting, right? If you're born in the year of the snake, I know someone who's born in the year of the snake. Is it okay to tell them? Is it okay? Reverend Endo's year of the snake. So it's your year, Michael, Reverend Michael. Can you guess what year I am? Can you guess? How'd you know? That's pretty good. Oh. See, I like cats, but how come I'm year of the dog? I don't know, yeah. Oh, yeah? Yeah, we're the same age? Well, there's different...
In Vietnamese culture, there is a year of the cat.
Oh, really?
I think the cat...
Yeah, I think you're right. Okay, yep, I think you're right.
I was born horse.
Yeah, the year of the horse. Year of the snake, one thing I kind of think of is snake can only go forwards. So let's not get stuck in the past. Let's not worry about the past. We're always moving forwards, right? And actually, we can be year of the dog, same year, and yet we're different because I'm a metal dog. Yeah. So anyway, okay. Let's conclude the Dharma Talk with Gassho, and we'll dismiss everyone after that. So in this upcoming year of the snake, let us think about what we want to do with our lives and take our direction from the Buddha as we recite the Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda. Okay, it's time to sing. We're going to sing Farewell, and it's on, yeah, you knew it. It's on page 45 in the small purple book. This one. I have this one memorized, but I'm going to use the book just in case. Hit it, Steve. Dharma school is over for another day. Let us gather round the shrine, bow our heads and say, thank you for your help, everyone. Buddha's love will keep us safe till our work is done. So we'll meet again next week. Won't you take good care? Let us try to do what's right, always kind and fair. We shall spread the happiness faith in Buddha brings. Now it's time to say goodbye till we meet again. Namu Amida Butsu, sing this fine refrain. Namu Amida Butsu, sunny day or rain. Namu Amida Butsu, strong in faith remain. Namu Amida Butsu, till we meet again. Namu Amida Butsu. Namu Amida Butsu. Namu Amida Butsu. Okay, so I mentioned China. There's also Japan, and you're going to learn about Setsubun, Japanese thing that's kind of bringing spring. Springtime brings the happy birds, right? And so let me get to the back so you can see these things, and then Dharma School will be dismissed to their classes, and then adults can stay here and we'll continue the Dharma family service. It's in the blue finder, huh? Amida's gift. We're almost ready to start. Okay. I'm not going to talk about snakes anymore, so don't worry. Okay. Oh. So what we will do is let's recite the three treasures, which is on page 3 in the small purple book. Let's rise so everyone can stand. The three treasures. Hard is it to be born into human life, now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the Buddha Dharma, now we hear it. If we do not deliver ourselves in the present life, no hope is there that we shall be freed from suffering and sorrow in the ocean of birth and death. Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in Buddha. May we all together absorb into ourselves the principle of your way to enlightenment and awaken in ourselves your supreme will. I take refuge in Dharma. May we all together be submerged in the depth of the doctrine and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in Sangha. May we all together become units in true accord, in your life of harmony, in a spirit of universal oneness, freed from the bondage of selfishness. Even through myriad ages of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful doctrine. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of the Tathagata's teaching. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda. Okay, you may be seated. Okay. So I'm not going to talk about snakes, but I thought I would talk about astrology a little bit, because that's partly what you're the snake, you're the dragon, you're the dog, right, is related to. But then we also have Aquarius, Libra, Taurus, Cancer, right, these other astrological signs that are more like the months instead of the whole year, right? And so I mentioned that I'm a metal dog. So I was born in Year of the Dog, but then there are these 12-year cycles, and it cycles through the elements. And in Chinese astrology and thought, there's 5 elements. So earth, air, water, fire, and metal. Or gold, maybe king, right? And so in Chinese astrology, they have 5 elements. And actually in Buddhist astrology, I think instead of the metal, there's space is another element. So different systems of thought. Right? And we might just be used to the Western astrology that you get in the newspaper. What's my horoscope for today? It's telling me something good might happen. So blah, 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 right? And so that's kind of one way we can think about astrology. But even with like Year of the Dog or Year of the Horse or Year of the Snake, I think a lot of people don't know about those elements. Right? And that I think in astrology, just knowing your year isn't enough. You need to know your element too. I don't know a lot about Chinese astrology, but I don't really put a lot of faith in it, because how can everyone in one year have the same characteristics? Right? How can everyone in Year of the Snake be this or that, whatever it is that Chinese astrology says Year of the Snake is? One really interesting thing, there's such a thing as Buddhist astrology. It's related more to Tantric Buddhism, I believe, and even in Japan. We don't hear about it much, but I have a couple of books on, unfortunately they're in Japanese and I can't really read them, but I'm always looking for Buddhist astrological stuff. And a lot of times it's paintings, and you'll see, it's really interesting, you see constellations and you see scales, a crab. It's the same as Western astrology, but it goes way back. So it's actually really interesting. Some of these systems are different, like the Chinese astrology of the years and Western astrology, but some there's a lot of overlap. And actually we know that stuff was going back and forth, like from Rome and Greece to the Far East with the Silk Road, right? So that's 1,500 years ago, maybe even earlier, Alexander going into India, right? That there's all this actual interchange that has been happening for centuries, if not millennia. Right? And so that's one of the things that's so fascinating to me, right? And you look at this astrological mandala, and there's a Buddha on it, but then you also see the Western astrological symbols. And I was like, well, is this from like 19th, 20th century? No, it's from like 8th century, right? So that you see this interchange of ideas. Now, how should we feel about astrology as Shin Buddhists? Right? So we can't just say Buddhist view on astrology, because I think there are many different views. And like I said, there is a kind of Buddhist astrology. But then as Shin Buddhists, how should we feel about it? And I'll just tell you right off the bat that Shinran is against astrology. Shinran is against divination. Right? He's against trying to tell the future. He's also against, what would you call it, petitioning the gods. Right? Asking gods for favors, asking gods for protection. And that's actually one of the kind of fun parts of Japanese Buddhism. If you go to temples, they have omamori, right? These little amulets, right? And you can get an amulet for childbirth, or an amulet for traffic safety, or an amulet for good studies in school or something. What did you say? Study, right? So there's different things you can get the amulets for. But if you go to Nishihonganji, you will not find them. We don't sell those. We don't do that. Right? We're not asking Amida Buddha to help me get good grades to get into a good college. Right? Other kinds of Japanese religion, yes, it's good. Go to a Shinto shrine, go to a Buddhist temple, right? Fill out a plaque or whatever. Get omamori, the little protection things. They even have maneki neko with like, maneki neko, the cat, right? Is the real thing he's asking for is money, I think, right? Usually, right? And it's got a little thing with money on it, but there's actually different maneki neko because this is, in America when we say come here, right? We go like this, come here, right? But in Japan, this is come here. Oi, 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 come here, right? This motion, and that's what the maneki neko is doing. And often, I think he's holding like that gold coin, right? And so he's saying, hey, money and fortune, come in, right? But you can also get them for study or stuff like that too. So that's a big thing in Japan, and Shinran is just really interesting, I think. 11th, 12th century, right? Or is it 12th, 13th century, that he's being like, no, we shouldn't be petitioning the gods. And I can actually read you some. So this is the collected works of Shinran. We have these, we have a whole bunch of them, and if you're interested, you can get one. It's not easy reading, but it's the entire collection of Shinran's writings. And there's some real gems in here. A lot of it you really need to study, and I've been studying for, 20, 30 years now, and I'm still learning every time I open it up. But it might be worth having, too, if you're interested, right? And I can point you to some of the more interesting parts. But this happens in his masterwork, the Jodo Shinshu, or his work revealing the true teaching, practice, shinjin, and realization of the Pure Land Way. And that's the first 4 chapters. And then the 5th chapter, he talks about the true Buddha and land. And then chapter 6, he talks about the transformed Buddha bodies and Buddha lands and skillful means. Okay, and I know that's a lot, just let it wash over you. The first half is the 19th and 20th vow, some of the more self-power Pure Land practices, right? But then the second half is stuff like this. Hear, Based on the sutras, the true and the false are determined, and people are cautioned against the wrong, false, and misleading opinions of non-Buddhist teachings. So Shinran's pretty intense here, right? He quotes from the Nirvana Sutra. If one has taken refuge in the Buddha, one must not further take refuge in various gods. The Sutra of the Samadhi of all Buddha's presence, the Pratyutpana Samadhi Sutra, says those among lay women who hear of this Samadhi and seek to learn it, take refuge in the Buddha yourself, take refuge in the Dharma, take refuge in the Sangha. Do not serve other teachings, do not worship devas, do not enshrine spirits, do not heed days considered lucky. That's another thing they do in Japan, the lucky days and unlucky days. So you get some Japanese calendars, and it has these little characters at the bottom of each day. Might be Butsumetsu, which means Buddha's death, right, which is considered a bad day. It might be Dai-an, which means great peace, which is considered a good day. So if you believe that stuff, when you're getting ready to do something important, like get married or whatever, you look at the calendar, oh, can't get married on that day. That's a bad day. We got to get married on a good day, right? And I think a lot of Japanese people still follow that, right? And they're trying to follow this astrological teachings, right? Of saying, this is a lucky thing. This is an unlucky thing. Don't do it on this day, right? And so Shinran's quoting sutras saying, don't do that, right? So it's pretty interesting, how Shinran does this. And also in the same text, lay women who wish to learn this samadhi must not worship devas or enshrine spirits. And then he goes on and on and on. It's a long chapter. I don't know if we have to be that harsh against astrology. I don't know if anyone does astrology. I think I know at least one person. I don't know if they're here or not, but looks at their horoscope. Right? But if we think about astrology, I was just kind of thinking, I know a lot of people actually are totally against it. Not because of being Buddhist, but there's no scientific basis for this. Right? Really? The stars and the planets are influencing my day-to-day actions? Right? Really? And like I said, I didn't tell you. Do you know my Western astrological sign? I was born in October, so I'm a Libra. But not only Libra sun, I'm also a Libra moon. Because you can't only do the sun sign. You got to do your moon sign. You got to do your rising sign. My rising sign is Aquarius. Right? And which is kind of similar, because Libra is the balance, right? The scales, balance. Aquarius is as above, so below. It's like a zigzag, two zigzags, right? So I've looked into this, if you can't tell. And there's all kinds of other stuff. And there's fire signs. Mine are air signs, which is more intellect. Fire sign is more emotional, right? And actually, I have a really good friend who's into astrology, and he's totally fire signs, and it's totally him, right? He just explodes and, really catches on to things, and, right? So I think we can see things in astrology. They're kind of interesting, right? But really? The planets and the stars are affecting my day-to-day business, right? And I should look to them and I should find out, right? Is today a good day to take on a new project, right? Another way we could look at it is maybe self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So that if I look at my horoscope and it says something bad will happen today, then I'm looking for something bad. I'm expecting it and maybe even making it happen. Right? With that expectation of being told it's a bad day today because of your sign, maybe I'll find something bad happen to me. But if it had said it's a good day today, maybe I would have been like, today's great, So that idea, I think, of self-fulfilling prophecy, it even it came up last week in the Dharma chat, right? In a different context, really. But that idea of self-fulfilling prophecy, I think, is important too. And as a Buddhist, I would feel like I want to be aware. I don't want to just buy into astrology, right? And I want to think about it. And if I do find, but the last 3 times I read it, it was exactly the way it said it was going to be. It's like, well, maybe you're interpreting it that way because of whatever. Think about it, right? Take a different view. You can accept that on one level, but then look at it from a different direction, right? And maybe you'll find, oh, you know what? I could actually see that in a couple different ways. And I wanted to believe in the astrological principle, so I believed it. But if I think about it in a different way, then maybe not. I'm not totally against astrology, right? I actually kind of personally, and some people will be like, what? You idiot. How could you possibly believe that? That's stupid. Science, right? And I totally am into science, right? But I also kind of personally accept something kind of mysterious, right? There's kind of a mystery to the world too, right? Personally, I don't think science explains everything, right? And that we can leave room for some mystery, right? We can leave room for something bigger than just the material world, right? And as a Buddhist personally, and I know not all Buddhists believe this, but personally, I see Amida Buddha as something powerful and mysterious in a lot of ways, right? And that this power of the Buddha is out there, right? That this power of the Buddha is influencing us if we are open to it. And I don't think I'm making this up. There's a term, other power, right? Tariki, that Shinran talks about it a lot, other power. But it's not just other power. It can also be understood as Buddha power, right? And that the Buddha is powerful and does change the world, does act actively in the world. It's also known as vow power, Gandhiki, right? And that's the power of the vow. That the vow that Dharmakara Bodhisattva made and then practiced for eons and then became Amida Buddha. I mean, we can think about it in a rational sense and be like, whatever, right? Or we can be like, is this pointing to something out there? Right? Is this pointing to something bigger than just the material? And that's part of Namo Amida Butsu. The reason we say Namo Amida Butsu is because of the 18th vow and the 17th vow. He actually made 48 vows. Right? And so it's through these vows that we're able to be embraced by Buddha's wisdom and compassion. And by saying Namo Amida Butsu, I become part of that. In one sense, it's expression of gratitude, but in another sense, it's the practice of our school. And we've said it already probably at least 20 times, right? Every time we say Namandabu or Namo Amida Butsu, right, we're saying Nembutsu. So I can think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Yeah, we said it at least 20 times, if not 30, 50, right? So we're saying Nembutsu. Don't just say it because we're saying it. I tell you to say it, right? We want to think about it, right? And it's because of this teaching of Amida Buddha that Shinran interprets in his own way. And the way I see it is really, Buddhism teaches us about samsara. The normal unenlightened way to be is samsara, which is basically mindless wandering. Just wandering around, not sure what's important. Oh, money's important? Okay, I'll go after. Oh, wait, family's important? Okay, I'll go after that. Oh, wait, this is important stuff? Okay, I'll go after. Oh, what should I do? I'm just constantly going around messages from TV, messages from the internet, messages from politicians, messages from advertisements, right? All these messages, and we're just wandering aimlessly. Not sure which way to go. We hear about the Buddha, boom, Namo Amida Butsu. I realize there is a way. There is a direction I can go in that's not just wandering aimlessly, that I can aim towards something bigger. Like I said, to be aware and to be kind, wisdom and compassion, right? That it's not just a material world and I can do whatever I want. It's not that I can just be a hedonist and take whatever I want and do whatever I want to other people, right? That no, compassion and wisdom are our guiding ideals that come from the Buddha, come from Buddha's awakening. And also not to ask gods for stuff. Not to be like, I'm going to the casino, so Namo Amida Butsu, I gotta win this one, Namandab, right? We're not supposed to do that. Opening a new store, bless the store, right? There's all these ways. Now we can still do it and set ourselves on a good direction. That's how I like to think about it. It's less of a blessing where Buddha's going to protect me and more of a, here, we're going to put this off in a good direction, right? Towards kindness and awareness. Now Shinran leaves some room. The true way is the way of other power, Shinjin and Nembutsu. Right? That's the 18th vow that I mentioned. But he also leaves room for the 19th and 20th vows, more self-power practices, saying Nembutsu for trying to get stuff or trying to protect myself or something, right? And there's also just doing good deeds, right? It's kind of accepted in that, but it's a skillful means. Now this is a really important term. It's hoben in Japanese, upaya in Sanskrit. Right? And this idea of skillful means comes from Shakyamuni Buddha, who taught each person what they needed to hear. He didn't just come, here's the message, everyone learn it, everyone memorize it, this is it. People came to him with problems, and he's like, oh, you have this problem? This is for you. Oh, you have a different problem. This is for you. That's an interesting problem. Think of it this way, right? And just giving different teachings to different people. So that's partly why Buddhism is so diverse. And they're so, right, with Zen and different kinds of Tibetan Buddhism and Theravada Buddhism and Jodo Shinshu and Jodo Shu and Nichiren Shu and all these different schools come out of all these different teachings of Shakyamuni Buddha. As a Shin Buddhist, I look to Shinran for his understanding, which is we say the Nembutsu and take refuge in Amida Buddha, right? That's it, really. Say the Nembutsu, live your life, right? But taking refuge in the Buddha and pointing in that direction. I'm willing to accept a certain amount with this skillful means idea, a certain amount of astrology. The way I look at it, if astrology says, because I'm a Libra, I'm like this. As a Buddhist, I can be like, that's interesting. Am I? Yeah, in some ways, yeah. In some ways, maybe not so much. But going through that process of self-reflection, right, I've learned about myself. I've become more aware of myself and who I am. Right? And I think that self-reflection is a big part of our Shinshu Buddhism, Shin Buddhism. Right? That it allows me to see myself, and it allows me to be myself. Right? But to truly be myself, I think it helps to know myself to a certain extent. Right? And so if astrology helps me do that, I think it's okay. I'm not living my life by it, right? I'm not living my day-to-day by astrology, but there are times when I think about being Libra, Sun, and Moon, right? And that kind of balance, and my name is Bridge, right? This kind of balance between the two cultures and everything, right? And middle way of Buddhism, right? So for me personally, these ideas really resonate, and maybe it is because I'm a Libra, Sun, and Moon, and Aquarius rising. Maybe it has nothing to do with it, but it's allowed me to see myself maybe a little bit better, and also to think about Buddhism. Right? So, Happy New Year. We're not quite there yet. Wednesday, right? And so, if you're around Chinatown during this week and next week, I think be prepared to be startled because firecrackers are going off a lot, right? And I don't know this year, I haven't heard anything yet. It might start on Tuesday, Wednesday, but they do it for like a whole week at least, right? And they're doing rituals really of cleansing the evil spirits and getting ready for this new year, right? So it's kind of neat. Not my tradition. I didn't grow up with it. I don't follow it, but I don't condemn it either, right? Other people can have other beliefs. And that's okay, as long as you're not really hurting someone. If you're hurting someone with your religion, then that's when I'm going to kind of, If you're a Nazi, sorry, not going to accept that. Unacceptable. You don't get to be a Nazi, right? Because Nazism stands for bullying, stands for racism, stands for hate, right? And so I don't think that Nazism is an acceptable viewpoint, right? And so I'm taking this stand, right? Oh, I don't accept everything. I can still be critical, right? And you don't get to hurt other people in the name of your religion. You don't get to hurt other people in the name of your beliefs. And I can see that coming from my perspective as a Buddhist, kindness, awareness, right? And I think a lot of the Nazism is ignorance too, right? And so I don't want to end on that. I'll end on this. I really appreciate Buddhism and Shinran's teachings. To me, that's an important idea, this way. It can give us a way to live. That's what it's all about, right? Astrology or politics or whatever. How should I live my life? What's important? Right? And we can look all over the place for answers. And I think we can take answers from various things, like I was saying about America. A lot of how I live, I think, is as an American. What I understand as an American. I am an American. I'm more American than some of the people that are espousing some of this insanity. Right? Even though I wasn't born in this country, I was born to 2 American citizens, so don't tell me I'm not American, and don't tell me I can't be Buddhist, right? But this Buddhism, for me, gives me a way, right? And it's a way of awareness and kindness, right, as 2 of its core values. And I can express that in a way by reciting Nembutsu, so we can all recite Nembutsu together, and you can do it though in your own way, right? Coming from where you are, that we can all be ourselves in our own ways. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda. You do Gatha? Which one do you want to do first? Okay, Gatha, Amida's Gift, and it's in the blue folder. Wow, if people just reach for it, they're like, so the blue folder under A, it's alphabetical. Days routinely without much thought that we will never live this day again in all eternity. Each wondrous day is special in sunshine or in rain. In living we'll know pleasure, fulfillment, loss, and pain. This is the truth of constant change. We'll live throughout our lives. With Dharma eyes, we'll see each day is Amida's gift to us. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo. Okay, and I'll turn it over to Robert for announcements.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Buddhist Church of Oakland. Nice to see everybody here today. My name is Robert. I have a couple of announcements. If I can get this working correctly. Okay. This is for the people that are online, so that's why you're not seeing this. So if you go home and watch this online, you'll be able to see the graphics during the service and these announcements. First, I want to thank our resident minister, Reverend Harry Gyokyo Bridge, for his Dharma Talk and officiating today's services, and Reverend Michael Endo for assisting in today's services, Steve Tedosaki for playing the organ, our host 11 group, who is providing hospitality downstairs for all of us here at the church, and our Zoom crew downstairs taking care of our online presentation and our YouTube broadcast. So just a note I wanted to say is that all our services are available on YouTube, looking up under the Buddhist Church of Oakland. So you can watch today's service as well as previous services if you weren't here to see them or be part of them. So coming up, what's next? Our next service will be next Sunday, February 2nd at 10 a.m. We'll have our Dharma School and Dharma Family service, and that'll be followed by our annual general meeting. I'll go over that in just a moment. Our next Dharma Chat is still yet to be scheduled for the month of February, so we'll kind of put that on hold. And then our next study class is actually scheduled for Saturday, February 15th at 1 p.m. That's a Saturday afternoon here at the temple. Once again, our Buddhist Education Committee is back for 2025. Our study class will be Saturday, February 15th at 1 p.m. And next Sunday, we'll have service at 10, followed by our annual general meeting for those of you who are regular church members. And then we'll have a New Year's party afterwards. We haven't had a New Year's party in a little while because of the pandemic and things. So we welcome you to come to the meeting, come to service, come to the meeting, and then stay for the party. No football that day. So other than the All-Star game, but that's not too meaningful. So we hope you'll come. We'll have food and drink and everything for the New Year's party. The following Sunday will be Sunday, February 9th. We'll have our Nirvana Day service, and that'll be at 10 a.m., our Dharma Family service, followed by our February Shotsuki Memorial service for the month of February at 11 a.m. And that's all I have. Oh, I want to welcome any guests or visitors here today. Please stand up or just raise your hand if you'd like. And we'd like to welcome you. Thank you very much for coming today. Welcome. And actually, we have a book downstairs. I have to pull it out, but want to make sure you sign our guest book if you would today before you leave. So thank you very much for coming today. Also want to thank everyone for supporting the Buddhist Church of Oakland. If you have any questions, you're welcome to ask any one of us or take a look at our website, buddhistchurchofoakland.org. Okay? Did you want to say something? Okay. Turn it over to Steve.
Good morning, Steve Terasaki. So the board here is selling our annual 200 plus tickets, and these are tickets to help support various aspects around this temple. In this case, the donations go to both supporting the HVAC improvements that we're making for the Hondo and for the church, as well as related expenses. So, and if you can speak to any board member, they're $100 a piece. The deal is, you get drawn every month. There's a $300, $200, and a $100 winner, and your ticket gets put back in, so you can win multiple times. The 11th draw, it's at the end of the season, and it's a $3,000, $2,000, and $1,000 award. So the odds are really good. This is better than Lotto. So take your opportunity to sign up. I also wanted to say that next Sunday, the service will be special, as I understand slightly, because as part of our 125th celebration, which we are going to celebrate in 2026, we're making renovations to the church. Part of that is that we found some major work that's required in our onaijin. So the main altar will be dismantled after service next week, and the pieces will be taken apart and sent to Japan to the Wakabayashi Butsugu factory in Kyoto, Japan, a renowned Butsudan maker that does work globally. So between our main altar and the Shinran altar, it'll be taken apart and dismantled, and it's going to take about a year for them to refurbish and have it returned to our onaijin here. So there'll be a special service as part of next week's service. It'll be a special acknowledgement of these pieces that are being dismantled and taken away. I just wanted to also say that coming up in February, the Buddhist Churches of America will have a number of workshops on the February 22nd on various topics. If you're interested in joining, there will be information on the Buddhist Churches of America website on topics that are important to all the local temples. So thank you for listening. Anything else? Oh, and lastly, we had mentioned that the Buddhist Church of America has been working to create a way to provide assistance to those victims of the Southern California wildfires. And so there's two ways. One is there's the Pasadena Buddhist Temple. If you Google Pasadena Buddhist Temple, they have a website specifically for their members, and it's a GoFundMe site. It's for the Eaton Fire disaster relief. On a larger scale, the Buddhist Churches of America, on the Buddhist Churches of America website, under the giving, under social welfare, there is a pull-down menu for disaster relief for Southern California wildfires. And so you can make donations directly to that through the BCA, and those monies will be given to disaster relief agencies who are working on the ground in LA for the broader community that's been impacted by the LA wildfires. So available online. If you need those URLs, please see me after service. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Steve. I can start to hear some Dharma School kids coming out, so this will conclude our Dharma family service. There's no other Dharma chat or anything like that, but we can still hang out down in the hall and talk. And so let's conclude our service with Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.